Questions submitted by the audience prior to the start of the event will be presented by the moderator, that's myself, in a round-robin style. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to express their position for each questions. If there are not enough questions from the audience to fill the allotted time, the moderator will ask questions at discretion. Although I am informed that we have quite a few questions from the audience, so I don't think that'll be an issue. So now I'd like to introduce our candidates. Prior to this, we have just chosen a random order of the opening statements, and so I will introduce the candidates in that order. Randy Bauer, Donald Ornesia, and Tom Brennan. So now we will proceed to our opening statements. Randy Bauer, you have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name's Randy Bauer. I'm the candidate on the Republican and Conservative ticket for Orleans County Sheriff. A little bit about the Office of Sheriff. The Office of Sheriff is the only law enforcement position that works solely for the people that elect them office. So I will work for you, if elected your sheriff, the people of Orleans County. That being said, I'd like to give a little background about the Sheriff's Department. As sheriff, we oversee 5 divisions. A lot of people don't know, but the largest divisions are correctional divisions, which is 30 corrections officers at any given time oversee 80 inmates. A little bit about what we would like to do as a sheriff is try to get a drug treatment program in our county jail. I will lobby Albany for the funds to do that so that we don't have to put the tax burden on the people of Orleans County. Again, we work for you, the people of Orleans County. The criminal division is our 2nd largest, and what I'd like to see happen there is more community policing, especially around our rural communities, and also around our rural businesses. Kendall and Ninneville schools, we want to live more presence. The 3rd division is my forte, the communications, the dispatch. I'd like to lobby the schools to allow us access to their video systems. Heaven forbid something happens in the school, we need eyes in the school. There's a lot that we can offer. It's a forum like this that we need to continue, and I'll be there for you as your sheriff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy. Now, an opening statement from Donald Ornesia.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Orleans County Scope, New York Revolution for having this forum. My name is Don Organishchuk. I am a Democratic candidate running for Orleans County Sheriff. I'm a lifelong resident of Medina. I've resided in Medina all my life. I've been married for 34 years and have 2 grown sons. I worked in law enforcement for 30 years, 16 years as a patrolman, 1 year as a sergeant. My last 13 years as Medina's first full-time investigator up until my retirement from the village in 2008. But my experience extends beyond those 30 years. I have also 2 years experience as a Lynnonville High School resource officer. At the school where I interacted with teens, counselors, I was a mentor and a disciplinarian. I'm also a New York State certified fire investigator and also have been that for 15 years. During my time in law enforcement, I've attended numerous law enforcement training sessions put on by state, county, federal, and government. I am running for sheriff to give the citizens of Orleans County a choice and a chance to have an experienced law enforcement officer of 30 years to lead the Sheriff's Department and its men and women by example. I'm here to bring back the professionalism so the men and women are proud to be a part of the Orleans County Sheriff's Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Donald. And now, Tom Drennan. Your opening remarks, please.
I too would like to thank everybody for showing up tonight. I think it's very important that the people get informed. I'd like to thank Scope and the Elks for allowing us to have this event tonight. My name is Tom Drennan. I'm Chief Deputy with the Orleans County Sheriff's Office. I'm born and raised in the town of Kendall. I'm married, have 3 children, 23 years on the job at the Sheriff's Office, the last 9 as a Chief Deputy. Came up through the ranks, Deputy Sheriff, Lieutenant, Investigator, into the current position I have now. I'm really looking forward to getting this over with in the next couple of weeks. It's been a long 8 months or so, And I hope you guys come out and vote, support everybody, and enjoy this event tonight.
Now we will begin with our questions from the audience, and as we said, these will be done in round-robin fashion. So the first question will go to Donald Organiziak. Question is, when a peace officer refuses to enforce an unconstitutional act, the peace officer is not breaking the law, but enforcing the law. Will you state for the record that if elected sheriff, you will not enforce the New York SAFE Act?
Will I not enforce the New York State SAFE Act?
Will you state for the record that if elected sheriff, you will not enforce the NY SAFE Act?
This has been raised numerous times about the SAFE Act. And it's a big issue, especially here. The SAFE Act is a law, and I have to enforce the law as being a sheriff. I will protect your constitutional rights. I will protect the Second Amendment right. But I cannot go against the SAFE Act. It's a law, and as a sheriff, I have to uphold those laws.
Okay, thank you, Donald. And now the same question to Tom Drennan. Tom, when a peace officer refuses to enforce an unconstitutional act, the peace officer is not breaking the law, but enforcing the law. Will you state for the record that if elected sheriff, you will not enforce the NY SAFE Act?
I'm absolutely opposed to the SAFE Act. The books are full of laws, and we have the discretion of which ones we enforce and when we enforce them. I think the SAFE Act was put together very poorly. I think it needs to be repealed and be looked at again, and maybe there's some things that they could do with that, or parts of it that they could take out, and we'd be a whole lot better off if they would just take it all off the books, start over again, and do it the right way. But we will not be knocking on anybody's doors, checking for their guns, counting their ammunition, or anything like that. So I'm not encouraging anybody to be enforcing the SAFE Act.
Thank you, Tom. And now, Randy Bauer, would you like to repeat the question?
You don't have to, sir. Reference to the SAFE Act, the Orleans County legislatures, towns and villages have passed a resolution. They oppose the SAFE Act. That means they are not in favor of it, they don't like it, they don't want it. That was a resolution passed by the County of Orleans along with 52 other counties. As sheriff, I work for you, the people. If that's your stance, then I will not enforce the SAFE Act. If you want to revisit it at a later time, that's one thing. But at this time, that is the people's position. The sheriff works for the people of Orleans County.
Thank you, Randy. And now, our second question will go first to Tom Drennan. The question is, please describe your qualifications, training, and experience.
Well, I have 23 years on the job. I've been in numerous schools. The county's already invested tens of thousands of dollars in me. Starting out as a technician and supervisor school, homicide school, sexual assault schools. I've been to the wide gamut of schools. So they've already invested the money. I'd like to carry that on, help develop the younger people in the departments, spread some of what I've learned over the years to them, and carry on from there. But we need to develop that next generation of people that are going to take over as us old guys get out. So.
Okay, thank you, Tom. And same question to Randy Bauer.
I have a rich history of 28 years serving the people of Orleans County as a public safety dispatcher, 12 of which also ran the control room at the county jail. The dispatch center is really the heartbeat of the organization. Everything filters through the dispatch and is pumped to the different divisions. We're the first responder when it comes to medical emergencies. We're the first responder when it comes to law enforcement needing to be dispatched. Like I said, 28 years working for Orleans County Sheriff's Dispatch, and the people in Orleans County come first. When they call, they can be assured I'll be there for them. Thank you very much.
Randy. And now to Donald Organiziak. Same question. Please describe your qualifications, training, and experience.
I started in law enforcement back in 1978, and the first 16 years, like I said in my opening statement, I was a patrolman. Then I was promoted to sergeant, and then the last 13 years as Medina's first full-time investigator. Medina didn't have an investigator at the time. I was appointed. I was given, I can't remember, either 4 to 6 months to prove that Medina needed an investigator. And I walked into an office with nothing in it but a desk and empty file cabinets, and I made that position in 13 years a very respectable position in Orleans County. I worked with the state police and the FBI in numerous cases, and the Sheriff's Department also. With that, I also have 15 years experience as a fire investigator, an arson investigator. Went to Montour Falls, graduated from there. After that, I was a resource officer at Lindenville School for 2 more years, where I still worked with law enforcement. They would get calls to school, I would call them so they could handle situations. Thank you.
Thank you. And now our next question will go first to Randy Bauer. Do you have a plan to improve animal control in the county?
Absolutely. A little bit of information about animal control in Orleans County. Animal control is run by 1 full-time officer and 1 part-time officer. To give you some numbers, last year, animal control handled approximately 2,000 jobs. To put that into a comparison, that's the amount of jobs the state police handled in Orleans County. 2 officers, 3 shifts, 24/7. Animal control, 1 full-time officer, 1 part-time officer, handled 2,000 jobs, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Right now, what we really need to do, and what I would like to do, is reallocate 1 law enforcement officer with special duties of animal control to help animal control with a large number of animal calls. Thank you.
Thank you. Now to Donald Organiziak. Do you have a plan to improve animal control in the county?
I would have a plan. I'm from the village of Medina, of course, and we did have animal control in the village of Medina, which was part-time. The county, I understand, does have a full-time animal control office, but with the number of calls that they have been receiving on animal control, I believe that that area needs to be looked at, and so that we can look at that area and see if they need assistance and need another person in there. I'm big on animals, and I don't know that much about the animal shelter here, what they have, but I would also improve that. We can always improve the shelters for the animals. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Thank you, Donald. And now, Tom, do you have a plan to improve animal control in the county?
Well, I think Kathy Smith, our animal control officer, is overworked and overburdened with her part-time officer, Nate Staines. I think it should be looked at, and if we need to add personnel, I think it's going to have to come from a civil side of things, where we have to deal with unions, and we can't mix unions together. We have contracts that we have to go by, so if we're going to look at expanding services, maybe that's something that they're going to have to do with 2 full-time animal control people instead of mixing services between 2 different unions, 2 different contracts. Services that they can provide will have to be done under 1 head.
Thank you. Our next question from the audience will go first to Donald Organiziak. And the question is, what is the #1 change in the operation of the department that you hope to accomplish?
What I would like to accomplish is to bring my 30 years' experience into the Sheriff's Department and bring back the professionalism. I have spoke to numerous employees of the Sheriff's Department, and as far as training and things, they're lacking in that area, and their recertifications have run out on certain things. And being a leader, I will make sure that the Sheriff's Department, the ladies and women and men of the Sheriff's Department are treated like professionals, and they get the training that they need and the recertification that they need and the equipment that they need. I was at numerous functions over the summer, and I seen the auxiliary police officers that didn't have bulletproof vests on. This really bothered me. With the other deputies walking around, they both carry badges. So, and they do it on their own time. But I would bring back professionalism, and I would bring back the equipment and what the men need, what the men and women need of the department.
Thank you. And now, Randy, what is the number one change in the operation of the department that you hope to accomplish?
What we're going to accomplish if elected sheriff, more community policing. We're rural America out here. We need community policing. We need our men and women in uniform to be familiar with the business owners, be familiar with the school kids. We need to be accessible. We need to be visible. And we need to be there for the people. I will assure the men and women of the department that I will get the tools needed to do the job correctly. But first and foremost, we need to be there for the people of Orleans County. We need to be in the community. So the biggest thing we're going to do is we're going to be visible and accessible and there for the people of Orleans County. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question will go first to Tom Drennan. The departmental budget has been an issue
I didn't answer
in the
that.
past.
He didn't answer that.
Oh, what?
I think we're switching.
Who hasn't answered what change would you make in the department?
I did not
You
answer.
did not. My apologies.
That's okay.
Let me repeat the question for the audience. What is the number one change in operation of the department that you hope to accomplish?
I hope to improve the professionalism, standardization across the board. If everybody knows exactly what their job is from the time they come into work to the time they leave, communication would be there. I'm looking to pursue accreditation, state accreditation, which then doesn't matter if it's Deputy A or Deputy Z. Everybody would doing the job relatively the same, and we would have some standardization across the board and across the county. It doesn't matter who shows up at your door, there would be that standard that everybody would be working to. So I would hope that we can pursue that and complete that. It's a very important accreditation. It bodes well for grants, and it just makes us look a whole lot better and accepted as the departments are surrounding us. They're accredited, and we'd like to be as well.
Okay, and thank you. Moderator, we got you a little out of order on the last question. So, Tom, we're going to have you start with the next question. The departmental budget has been an issue in the past. Do you have a plan to deal with this?
Our budget, I believe, is about $8.5 million, maybe about $1 million in revenue. That's across the board. That covers the criminal division, the jail, animal control, DWI patrol. So I think we need to look at that budget and see if there's places that we can trim, or there's places that we need to maybe put a little bit more money into or move some money around. It's been a problem that I've seen that the budget is done every year, and then the budget's done every year, and we end up barfing money or moving money around, and it's not really kept track of where that money is going to. So the next year you could have been $3,000 over on one line item, whether it be car maintenance or whatever it may be. And that's not kept track of, so you don't raise that line, and then you're not moving that money around properly when you're setting up your next year's budget. So I think we need to really take a good hard look at the budget and see where we can put the money where it's needed.
Thank you. And now, Randy Bauer, the departmental budget has been an issue in the past. Do you have a plan to deal with this?
When it comes to a budget for law enforcement and public safety, it's really, really hard every year to live within that budget. We don't know what services are going to need, what crimes we're going to have to investigate. So it's very, very hard. But I think we have to start in the beginning more like a zero-based budgeting, where we take everybody's salary, we put it into a database, and we get a spreadsheet so that we can actually better see where our money's going, where the money's going when it comes to services for employees, where the money is going for tools, for the tools needed to do the job. We really need to sit down and spend our money wisely. I think there is waste. I don't think there's a lot of waste. But I do believe the people of Orleans County want a professional law enforcement, and I do believe that we have to take a look at what we can do to better serve the people. And if we have to trim it a little bit, I don't think we should do it and neglect the people of Orleans County when it comes to their services. Thank you.
Thank you. And now to General Orleans. The departmental budget has been an issue in the past. Do you have a plan to deal with this?
I think when it comes to budget, there's no cost on law enforcement. The citizens of Orleans County or any county, we have to have the equipment to do the job. And there's always new equipment that you have to purchase, and there should be a budget for this equipment. As far as, like I said, law enforcement, you can't put a price tag on that. And I've seen budgets go over budget because of unforeseen things. There's grants out there that can help the budgets, and but there's things also that could be. Take for instance the trailer that they have, the enclosed trailer that's supposed to be a crime scene unit. That was funded, and there was a grant for that. And right now it sits empty, and as an ATV sits in there. That's supposed to be used for crime scenes and bigger crimes for the use. This is what I will see that will get done with the monies. Put the monies to use. The other county agencies around here have a crime scene unit, and Orleans County does not.
Thank you. The next question from the audience will go first to Randy Bauer. Can you address the issue of attrition of trained personnel from the Sheriff's Department?
What I think we need to do at the Sheriff's Office is make it a place where the men and women really want to work. We don't want to lose them to other counties. We may have to make an environment in Orleans County for the men and women that they enjoy working. They enjoy working with the people of Orleans County. We're kind of unique between Orleans County and when you look at City of Rochester or Monroe County agencies, where we work closely with the people of the community. We work closely with the business owners and with the other agencies. I believe if we make Orleans County, the Orleans County Sheriff's Department, let's start there, the place where everybody in Orleans County, whether you're a local police officer or another agency, you'd want to work for Orleans County. I think we really need to make that the top priority, that Orleans County Sheriff's Office is where everybody aspires to be. And I think if we can do that, we can keep the men and women in Orleans County working for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Don, same question. Can you address the issue of attrition of trained personnel from the Sheriff's Department?
As when I first started in law enforcement, Orleans County Sheriff's Department was the elite, and different men from LV and Holly, Medina Police Department would inspire to go there. That has not happened. Within the last 15 or 20 years, the Orleans County Sheriff's Department has lost men, and they have gone to Medina, Albion, and Holly, and other police agencies. I would change this. Like I said, I will bring back the professionalism, the loyalty, the integrity, so these people, the men and women of Orleans County Sheriff's Department, want to come to work and make it a place where they want to come to work. These ladies and gentlemen do a job every day that we have no idea what they do as a common man. If you have to walk in their shoes to realize what they do. Every day, they put their lives on the line out there for us. We need to treat them like the professionals they are. We need to give them the equipment to do the job right. Without the equipment, you can't do a job right. This is what I will do for the citizens of Orleans County to make sure they are safe and they get the protection that they need, and to have time response is what they need too. I have heard this from numerous residents throughout the county about the response times, and I would fix this. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Tom Brennan. Any questions?
We're in a very hard spot here in Orleans County. We're surrounded by counties that pay their employees more than we do. People can live here in Orleans County and drive to Monroe County and make a third to twice as much. So I think we need to change our hiring practices here. We need to maybe open up our testing and qualifications to people that live outside the county. But yet, once they're hired, we need to move them into the county. Not to say that they can't leave and then all of a sudden be driving to the town of Greece or the city of Rochester for employment. But if they live in this county, they're invested in this county, their kids go to school here, I think that will maybe change that mentality a little bit and get some people to stay. We've made some adjustments over the years with our pay. We've come up a long ways over the years. So maybe we can keep creeping up and stay with at least with the village police departments within our county. We're never going to meet Monroe County standards. We're not going to meet Niagara County standards, even Genesee. So we need to change our hiring practices and get people to be invested in our community, be in our schools, be in our stores, and interact with our community members.
Thank you. The next question from our audience goes to Donald Organiziak. What does it mean to you to be an elected constitutional sheriff?
Constitutional sheriff, this is another big thing. What this is that as being a sheriff, you have laws to obey by. There are laws out there, like the SAFE Act, that you have to obey by. I will protect the Second Amendment right of the people. I will not let people, somebody come knocking on your door and taking your guns away. But understand this, as a sheriff, I have to enforce the laws that are here, that are in effect. I cannot fix that. I've got to do what the laws say to do. And being a sheriff, I have laws that I have to obey by. Thank you.
Thank you. And now to Tom Drennan. What does it mean to you to be an elected constitutional sheriff?
Constitutional sheriff has been a big point through this whole election process, and it's really a hot topic. So we need to uphold the Constitution. The sheriff is an elected official. He's the top cop in the county, and he needs to protect the citizens of his community. It's often said that we can't let the federal and state officials come in and walk all over us. We have a good working relationship with both state and federal officials over the years, and it's been my experience. We work with each other, and they're not walking into our county typically and marching all over our citizens' rights. So we want to continue that type of relationship with them, build those relationships, and see if we can not have to go to the point where we're dealing with negative press from the feds or the state people coming in and messing with our citizens of the county. So we can build those relationships, and I think we'll grow from there. But the sheriff does have to keep an eye on that. If somebody's rights do get violated and it comes to our attention, we will work with the DA's office, with the courts, to get it straightened out and make sure that the people are taken care of in this county.
Thank you. And now to Randy Bauer. What does it mean to you to be an elected constitutional sheriff?
To be an elected constitutional sheriff, I cannot allow the federal or state officials come into Orleans County, give us watered-down versions of amendments. I need to be there for the people of Orleans County. I pledge, with my hand on the Bible, that I will uphold the Constitution, and that's what I will do for the citizens of Orleans County.
The next question will go first to Tom Dredden. What is your opinion of the possibility of merging law enforcement agencies under one administrative authority?
I think Orleans County is built for a one agency law enforcement, whether it be called the Sheriff's Department or the Metro Police or whatever you want to call it. I'd like to see it all fall under the umbrella of the sheriff. I think we're built for that as far as the way we're laid out, the size, the volume of people that we have. We certainly would have to do some restructuring and add some employees to the Sheriff's Department if that's how it falls. But we would have to have still some substations. We can't all work out of the center of the county and be protecting the four corners of the county, especially when you got the populated areas of Medina and Elgin to have to deal with. So I think it would work. It's going to take some time. I think the bigger problem with that is going to be getting the municipalities to give up the control. People are pretty territorial and they want to hang on to what they have. Not to say that we can't have the response time or the service that we do to protect the people. We can't diminish that at all. It would have to be as good or better than what we have now. So I think it can be done, but I don't know that it's going to be done in my lifetime.
And now to Randy Bauer. What is your opinion of the possibility of merging law enforcement agencies under one administrative authority?
It absolutely could happen, but it would have to be under the blanket of the sheriff's office. The people of Orleans County elect the sheriff, and it would have to be under that blanket of the sheriff's office. Police department chiefs, they're appointed rather through politicians or through tests. They weren't elected by the people to serve as their law enforcement leader. The sheriff of Orleans County is working for the people of Orleans County. So I could see we could do that, but it would have to be under the blanket of the sheriff's office. The problem we have is you're not going to get the same coverage in our villages. They're accustomed to the 2 cars in the villages. I don't foresee where you can promise that on the back. So could it be done? Yes. Services in the villages probably wouldn't be as good, but it would have to be under the sheriff's office blanket. Thank you.
Thank you. And now the same question, Donald Organizia.
Being a law enforcement officer in the village of Medina, this talk has been going on for about 10 years now. The thing of it is, if the mayors of the village or the boards of the village say no, then I will not go into that village. I can tell you this, that right now that the villages would not get covered the way they are now. Medina has 2 to 3 cars on the road, and the response time anywhere in the village is 2 minutes. That would not happen. But I would look into it, but I would not go into a village unless they wanted the sheriff's department in that village. We would have to be wanted by the citizens, the board, and the mayor of each village, so everybody's on the same page. Because like I said, response time will not be the same in You would have to really look into this because you'd have to add more men to the sheriff's department, substations, and there is a cost here that we really have to look at. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will go first to Randy Bauer. Do you have a plan to deal with a major event such as an emergency in a local school or a major crime?
Let's address the school. I do have a plan for schools. It's all budgetary. In the perfect scenario, my plan in a school would be 2 officers per district. 1 officer would be watching monitors to stop a threat from happening in that school. The other officer can know the personnel there. I think it starts there. We spend a lot of money protecting everything else, but it seems like we don't spend the money on our children. There are schools, I truly believe with 2 officers in each district, we could stop any threat. Give them the tools to stop the threat. For instance, somebody watching the monitors in the school, make sure they have the tools near them to stop any possible threat. Make sure the person who's out in the field, in the different schools, in the classrooms, has radio contact with the officer on the monitors, and make sure we have a team approach in the school that if anything were to happen, we have people there now. Sitting back and having a plan if something happens and then we all respond, I think is the wrong answer. I think we need to be in our schools and be there for the children so that our parents feel comfortable with our school, children in the school. So that being said, I really believe we need to have people in the schools, 2 officers, and not be reactive if something happens and then send in the troops. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Donald Ornesiak, excuse me. Do you have a plan to deal with a major event such as an emergency in a local school or a major crime?
Like I said in my opening statement, I was a school resource officer in Lindenville for 2 years. When I was hired, they had a problem with calling in bomb threats and students writing on the walls the words bomb. And after I was there, 2 years later, they had no more bomb threats. They had no more students writing on those walls bomb. Being the resource officer in that school, walking around that school, having the interaction with the kids in that school, you develop information like you do as a street cop. And you get information from the inside, and like I did in the school, and then you bring these kids in, and then you can solve the problem. School resource officers are a big thing. Medina has one in the school, full-time. Lindenville, they hired me as a retired police officer, which in the cities, they also hire retired police officers to be the school resource officers. So as far as schools go, yes, they are very important. And yes, there should be at least a school resource officer in that school. Now, should the county provide that or should the school provide that? And we're talking about budget factors. You want 2 men in the school, you're going to have to budget that. So that's something for the county to look at, the county citizens to look at. I realize like Kendall, that's a rural school. We should look at that area. There should be a full-time school resource officer paid by the county down in Kendall because Kendall doesn't have a police force. Holly is the same way, but Medina and Albion do have a police force and they can put these men in the school without the county cost.
Thank you. Tom Dunn, same question.
Ideally, it'd be nice to have a school resource officer in each school, an armed officer that's trained to deal with the situations, not only of an active incident or an active shooter in the school, but to be trained in the education of the children, to spend time with them, interact with them. As Don had said, you develop a lot of information. We had school resource officer in Holly School, was able to solve a lot of cases with an individual in there. Just the interaction is such a benefit. If that's not able to be worked out, because we're very limited in what we have for personnel, we only have 3, maybe 4 people working on the day shift at the sheriff's office, so you can get spread thin in a hurry. So if we can't afford, as a sheriff's office, to put these school resource officers in schools, and the schools don't want to put forth the money to do that, then we got to make sure that we continue the training that we've been doing. We need to have, there's already been discussions with the schools at superintendent meetings that I've attended to have an office in each school that we can go into, and we can go in and interact with the kids. We can make a walkthrough. We can sit down and have lunch with them. The schools are looking at maybe implementing that, or allowing us to get in there, use a computer, bathroom facilities, telephone if we need to. But if we don't get that, we got to make sure that everybody's trained and continue to be trained. Named an undersheriff the other day, that's what he does. He trains people for active shooter situations, Brett Zabreski. And at the sheriff's office, we've been supplied with patrol rifles in our vehicles. I carry one in my vehicle. At that point, you're not an administrator, you are a defender. So we'll make sure that the people get the training that they need.
Thank you, Tom. The next question goes to Don Roy-Aziak. Should the district attorney's office be in charge of the drug task force?
Yes, I think the DA's office should be in charge of the drug task force, because when the village of Medina had a person in the drug task force for the county, Medina was supposed to ante up on monies to have to help the drug task force, and they didn't do this. So that put a burden on the county taxpayers, because they had to come up with this money. Overtime was another thing that was limited. We had a person in the drug task force. He could only work so many hours, and then he would be limited to those hours. In a drug task force, in that world, it's a whole different animal. These guys work 7 days a week. You don't know what time they're going to be working to. They could be working 16 hours a day. There is no time limit or money limit on that. And yes, I think that's a very good idea to have the DA's office take that drug task force over.
Thank you. Tom Dredge, same question.
I was disappointed when the DA's office took over. You know, I understand why they did it with the county government and the monies and the agreements they were trying to make so we could get the task force funded. But, you know, it's working out great. I would like to see it under the umbrella of the sheriff's office, but the way it is right now, they've got 3 good officers up there, plus some part-time officers that are coming in from federal agencies helping out and assisting with manpower. I would like to see the sheriff's office put someone up there so we can have that liaison, so the communication can be better. You know, we know what's going on. We meet with these guys on a regular basis, but somebody that comes across an individual on a traffic stop or a minor UPM marijuana arrest, they can get that information maybe, and they can talk about it amongst law enforcement, sheriff's officials, and the district attorney's investigators. So it's working, and they're doing a great job. And I think we need to keep moving forward to where it is now instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. But I'd like to see some more people put into that unit so we can even do more.
Thank you. Randy Bauer, should the district attorney's office be in charge of the drug task force?
I believe the drug task force should be under the blanket of the sheriff's office, period. The way it is now, it creates a division. It creates this division between units. We don't work well together. We're not working strong together. It's the people of Orleans County we all work for. It doesn't matter if you work for the sheriff's office or public probation, the highway department. When you break down the drug task force or the road patrol criminal division, we all work together. We should all be the same. We work for people in Orleans County. This division doesn't serve the people. We need to have that under the blanket of the sheriff's office, run it as a team, and we can get the job done a lot better and a lot more effectively. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question from our audience, we'll go first to Tom Drennan. Do you think we should pursue technologies such as dash cams and personal cameras on officers?
Yes, I do. That's very hard to do with funding. Not so much the cameras themselves, but the storage of all the data. It certainly has been proven that it improves cases. The district attorney's office has proven that time and time again in the cases that they're doing now. Most of them are on video. It certainly makes it nice and neat when you start making arrests. So it certainly can improve the quality of the job and our professionalism. You know, if you know you're on camera, maybe you do things a little bit differently as an officer. And I'm not saying that anybody's doing anything wrong or illegal, but you know, maybe it just cleans it up, and you know you're always at that training level when you're on camera and being a professional. So I think it would be beneficial to the departments, as well as our cases that we put together and present to the district attorney's office. A lot stronger cases when they're there on video or audio.
Thank you. Randy Bauer, we should pursue technologies such as dash cams and personal cameras on officers.
Both of those come at a cost, so I would probably reach out to the people of Orleans County and see where we want to best spend our money. Personally, I believe I wouldn't probably get both. I'd get the body cams. And not to a point where that body cam is on 24/7 and they make a reality show out of it. You turn it on when you're in the process of an arrest. You turn it on even on a vehicle stop. So I think the body cam can be a dual purpose. We can use it when you're on traffic stops. We can use it when we're in pursuit of vehicles, and we can also use it when we're making arrests. But I do think it's a huge tool. I think it would save the taxpayers money in the long run, and I think it would document properly how the officer are handling the public. I do believe in the body cam. I don't know if we could afford both, and again, I would ask the people of Orleans County where you want to go when you spend the money on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Donald?
I think body cameras are a good thing and another good tool for law enforcement. Some law enforcement agencies are just in the stages of trying these out. What I as sheriff would do, I would go to these other agencies, talk with these sheriffs, police officers, chiefs, whatever the case may be, to see their input. I would seek input from other agencies before I spent the monies on the cameras. But it is a good tool. It would help the DA's office in prosecution, and it would help the officer get up to another level when he knows he's on camera. But I would go to the other agencies, seek their opinion, and go from there.
Thank you. Next question goes first to Randy Bauer. What is your view of the importance of diversity in your staff and the department as a whole?
Diversity is absolutely needed. In every walk of life, we have different situations that we have to respond to. When you have diversity, you have people who are excellent in different areas. Diversity allows us to handle different cases with different people and actually have people who specialize in different areas. We see it even with our current sheriff. There are some people who are better to handle certain incidents, and we always reach out to those people, and it's because we're diverse in our training, it's because we're diverse in our lives that we're able to better help serve the people of Orleans County. Thank you.
Thank you. Donald, are you here?
Diversity in the sheriff's department or any police department, you have to have that. I came from the investigator world, and that's why there's no testing in some of the areas in investigators. investigator does not necessarily have to take a civil service test because the chief can appoint him as a man to do the job. It takes a special person to be an investigator to do that job. Also, that's why there's promotions. And like it was brought up earlier about being promoted and taking a civil service test to be promoted. And that's not necessarily the case, because you could be book smart, but you put a guy on the road and he might be common sense not there. So diversity is a big thing, and I think the sheriff plays a big part about that, because he knows his men, or he should know his men and women, and he should put those men and women in certain positions that he feels that their strong points are at.
Thank you. Don Drennan, what is your view of the importance of diversity in your staff and the department as a whole?
I think it's very important to have a diverse group of people. The restrictions that we have, though, are through civil service. Step number one at getting a job at the sheriff's office is being able to pass that test and score well enough that you can be considered for the job. So we have limitations sometimes when it comes out to the list. We have both men and women at the department. But on the road patrol side of things, we don't have any black officers. When you start looking at race and religious beliefs, it can only help to have a diverse group of people that maybe have had some experience along the way, or look at things or view things differently than than the person sitting next to them. So it certainly helps. Females can play a great role in law enforcement. Sometimes there's some people that only want to talk to a female. There's sometimes they feel more comfortable and they open up to them. So it's a great tool, and they're a great asset if when used properly and trained properly, and it's a great benefit to the department. But unfortunately, we're very restricted with the first step in the civil service process and getting people that are qualified to take the test, to score well enough on the test and get into the job.
Thank you. Don Lorenzo, do you believe that off-duty use of marijuana or recreational drugs by any of your deputies is acceptable?
Huh? You gotta be kidding.
Question from someone in our audience. Do you believe that off-duty use of marijuana or recreational drugs by any of your deputies is acceptable?
Wow. Absolutely not. That's a no. That was the easiest question to do that. I don't know what else to say. I can't make a long sentence or 2 minutes out of this because it's absolutely not. Thank you.
Tom?
Absolutely not. There's no room for that in law enforcement. 100% against it. I'm all for random drug testing. We test others in their professions, and why wouldn't we test the people that are, we're authorizing to carry a gun and go out and make an arrest and affect citizens' lives? Why are we not going to drug test them? So if you're in the job, I would think that you wouldn't have any problem at all being drug tested, and I'm all for it 100%. Test me anytime you want.
Randy?
Absolutely not. Goes without saying.
Our next question will go first to Tom. Would you seek state accreditation of the Sheriff's Department?
Absolutely. As I said before, I think it's very important to be recognized as an accredited department. It brings some professionalism and respect from the outside. You're viewed totally different when you meet those qualifications and those standards. With each thing that you do, you have to set that up, that you're doing it properly, with the proper paperwork, with the proper training, and that you're qualified to continue to hang on to that accreditation. Places do it, and we've been behind, and I think it's very important that we catch up to the others and bring some pride and professionalism to the department as an accredited agency.
Thank you. Randy, would you seek state accreditation of the Sheriff's Department?
A state accreditation comes at a cost. I would probably reach out to the people of Orleans County. The sheriff works for the people of Orleans County, and I would ask them this: do they want the state, through accreditation, telling us how to police Orleans County residents? So we would research that first, and what accreditation really means. I would bring it to the people of Orleans County, and then we would make that decision if we would go further with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Donnie, would you seek state accreditation of the Sheriff's Department?
Yes, I would seek working on getting the Sheriff's Department accreditation that promotes efficient Orleans County by being accredited. This applies to jail operations also, which is one of the most difficult operations for the Orleans County, and which is a great legal and liability asset. So I definitely would look into getting the Orleans County Sheriffs accredited. Surrounding agencies are, and I've talked to those agencies, and it's a cost saving. It's cost saving in the jails, in the Sheriff's Department, and for the citizens of Orleans County.
Thank you. And now for our last question from the audience members. Randy Bauer, why do you feel that your choice for undersheriff is the best choice?
Christopher Bork, 31-year veteran serving the people of Orleans County his entire career. Road Patrol Lieutenant, K-9 handler. Familiar with the business owners, familiar with the highway personnel, familiar with everybody in the community. We're talking about community policing, being there for our people in the county. You couldn't ask for a better man than Lieutenant Christopher Bork. Thank you.
Thank you. Donnie Ortega, why do you feel that your choice for undersheriff is the best choice?
Well, as everyone knows here, I don't have one yet. I'm still in the interviewing process. I've been an officer for 30 years, and I've got a lot of phone calls. But I feel that if you're voting, you want to vote for the person who's got the most experience to do this job. You're not voting for the undersheriff. The undersheriff is there. The undersheriff there is to assist you. You need to lead by an example. You're the sheriff. The citizens of Orleans County are voting for the sheriff. They're not voting for the undersheriff. They're voting for to be the sheriff. I have 30 years of law enforcement experience. I will put that to use for the citizens of Orleans County. And when I do pick my undersheriff, he will have law enforcement experience. Not like the one sheriff that picked somebody that didn't have any law enforcement experience at all, had to send him to the academy. It was an embarrassment to the citizens of Orleans County. What I will do is, like I said, I am still in the process. It should be within the next week that I will announce my undersheriff. But the people of Orleans County are voting for the sheriff and the experience of the sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom Gunning, why do you feel that your choice for undersheriff is the best choice?
As Donnie said, I as well agree that this whole race should be about the sheriff's position, not the undersheriff's position. The sheriff can't be relying on the undersheriff to do the work for him. He has to know how to do the job himself. So it became quite a distraction. People were asking and they wanted to know. That's why I announced the other day Brett Zabreski, Rochester Police Sergeant, 27 years on the job. He started in Lockport. Worked 4 years there. He worked 23 years in the city of Rochester. He's a sergeant. He oversees a division of the department that's called Granite, Greater Rochester Area Narcotics Enforcement Team. He's been on over 2,000 search warrants. He's an instructor. He teaches people at the academy from day one how to do their job. He's a PT instructor. Physical fitness is a big part of his life. He comes from an accredited department, a very respected department, one that knows what the chain of command is. He wants to push, as I do, the authority down to those first line supervisors. That's where he's at now, and that's what he thinks should be happening. Guys should be able to turn to their first line supervisors and get the answers from them, and the administrators up above stand behind them. As long as they're doing things properly, ethically, morally, and within the law. And he's a super guy who's, you may know him as he's the guy that swam across the lake because he's raising money for people that are less fortunate. So he's been on 100-mile runs, he's been swimming across the lake, and he's going to bring a whole lot of experience and a whole lot of connections to people that he's been working with for the last 27 years. They're going to help us out at Orleans County.
Thank you, Ken. That concludes our audience questions. At this point, we're going to move on to the closing remarks of the sheriff candidates. As we announced at the opening, it will be in the reverse order, which was randomly determined, of our opening statements. So each candidate will have 2 minutes closing statements, starting with Tom Dreddick. Tom?
As I said before, 23 years on the job. I've been working towards this position, to be prepared for this position for many years. I started out as a little kid. I couldn't even see over this table. I was hanging out at the fire hall with my father, and I was into the fire service. 33 years as a member of the Kendall Fire Department. Long before that, I was hanging out there, and 9 years as a commissioner, working with the taxpayers' money. As at the Sheriff's Department, many classes, as I said before, tens of thousands of dollars have already been invested in me to be able to do the job of everyday police work. Boots on the ground, anything from a traffic stop to a vehicular homicide, to a shoplifter, to a homicide itself. I've been there, I've been all over this country, I've interviewed people, I've picked up bad people, I've traveled to Alaska, to Florida, and beyond. So, I'm prepared to do the job, I'm ready to do the job. I've been doing the last 9 years as a chief deputy. I'm involved in every facet of this sheriff's department on a daily basis. I'm working with the jail superintendent. I'm working with the civil bureau and dispatchers, the investigative unit every day. And it's just been preparing me to step up. Now that the sheriff's retiring, it's a natural progression to take that next step into being the sheriff of Orleans County. I've been there for you, I'll continue to be there for you, and nobody's going to work harder than what I'm going to commit to you guys.
Thank you, Tom. And now the closing statement from Donald Organizier.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've entered the sheriff's race to give the citizens of Orleans County a choice. If I did not have 30 years of law enforcement experience, I wouldn't have entered this race. I will be a strong leader, and I will make sure that the professionalism gets back into the sheriff's department. I know the job is largely administration, but I have no problem getting from behind that desk and going out on the road to assist my deputies. I did it as an investigator in Medina. I used to investigate and then go on calls, take calls, and help the men out. Throughout my campaign, I have stressed that I'll be a working sheriff, and that's what I mean by being a working sheriff. I will be out there so the citizens can see me and I can interact with them. I will build a working relationship with the deputies, with the men and women, and most importantly, I will hold monthly meetings with each township so the citizens have the chance to voice their opinions about the sheriff's department and to bring any problems up which they might have in that township. Ladies and gentlemen, it would be an honor to serve as your sheriff for Orleans County, and I look forward to your vote on November 3rd. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Donald. And now, closing statement from Randy Bauer.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to give the office of sheriff back to the people of Orleans County. I have thoroughly enjoyed this campaign, meeting the great citizens of the county. You've come up with some great ideas. I truly love working with the men and women of the office. It is absolutely time to get the office of sheriff back to the people. It is the people we work for. I have the leadership ability. I'm visible, accessible. I will be there for you. If you have concerns, reach out to me. The men and women in the department will be there for you. I can assure you, on November 3rd, if I'm elected your sheriff, I will be there for you every step of the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Randy.